We've had a lot of inquiries recently about financing renovations to your home or to a property. And whether it's a small renovation like 20 or 30,000 or financing a larger renovation of 8 or 900,000. I wanted to review some of the options for you because you might be thinking about doing that, or you may have a friend who's gone to their bank and their bank has declined them for a renovation mortgage or a construction mortgage or even a refinance of their house. So there are really three options to finance a major renovation. And when I say a major renovation, I'm thinking something more than 50,000. Okay. Because if you are doing something that's under 50,000, hopefully you might have the cash available combined with maybe an unsecured line of credit or even a secured line of credit. And that is the best way to finance a smaller renovation. Again, I'm coining a smaller renovation under 50,000. And the reason for that is, um, when you've got a mortgage and another liability payment, if the liability, that line of credit is high, the balance is high, it's hard to pay off that line of credit because interest rates on secured lines of credit right now are fairly high, and compounding periods on secured lines of credit are also more frequent than on a mortgage, which makes them more challenging to pay off. So if you're thinking of doing a smaller renovation, and I would say like under 50,000, look at financing that renovation with either the cash that you have in combination with a secured or unsecured line of credit. And then just focus on paying down that secured line of credit in a disciplined way over the next year. Okay. And if you're not sure what the payment should be, I can help you calculate that, but you've got this. Okay. Larger renovations over 50,000, the best way to kind of finance that is to actually refinance the mortgage that you have. And the reason why I'm recommending something like this is because, um, after you start to get a higher balance on a secured line of credit, they do become difficult to pay off. So if you have a larger renovation, for example, more than 50,000, you can contact us and we can look at accessing the equity in your house. So the next question is, well, how much equity can I access? And you can usually access up to 80% of the value of your home uh, in equity and borrow against your house to do that renovation. And renovations are one of the best. If you've decided that you're not going to move, or you like your neighborhood, or you just don't want to move, and I totally get that. I've only moved a couple of times in my life and I totally hate it. um, a larger renovation is a really great way to reinvest back into your house. But I have had some recent inquiries for people looking at accessing more equity. So if you're doing like a $500,000 renovation and you don't have that equity in your house, the third option to finance a renovation, and this is like a super large one where you're adding square footage to the property, or it's more than the actual 80% of the value of your current property, there is a construction loan that needs to happen. And how these construction loans work is because they're large renovations. In order to finance something like that, we need architectural drawings and then detailed cost estimates. And then based on the detailed cost estimates, there are different timelines that the builder would require the money. So we help arrange all of that. And what happens on the closing date, so when you start needing the money, all of the money for the construction loan is forwarded to your lawyer, and then your lawyer works in conjunction with us and your builder to release the funds as needed. So the other question I get, so what's the best option? Okay, well, we do things on a case by case basis, and on a person by person basis, because not everybody fits into the same boxes. And that's what's beautiful about the work that we do is we can provide that personalized service. But what I can do is I can tell you that the anything over $50,000 worth of work should require some attention from our office, and we'll give you some good advice. Just a quick note, I'm sure you're also wondering what's happening with interest rates. Well, Bank of Canada a couple weeks ago made an announcement where they were not going to change their overnight lending rate, and that impacts obviously variable rate mortgages, your lines of credit, and credit cards. So for people like me who have a variable rate mortgage, I was like, yeah, and hopefully we are starting to see some downward pressure in inflation. And now what economists are saying is we're headed into a recession. We might be heading into a recession. So how is that going to affect the housing market is the next question. Well, it actually might, the housing market might fare fairly well. Yeah, 5-year fixed rates right now are very good. Remember, in Canada, fixed rate mortgages are based on the bond market. And because inflation is cooling and the bond market is a leading indicator, we are starting to see some downward pressure on fixed rate mortgages. So, as rates are coming down on fixed rates and they may be coming down on variable rates, recession obviously means that fewer people are working. And so this will take some of the demand out of the housing market. So we may not be in what's called a seller's market, but a more balanced market. So there are still people looking for houses. Remember the millennials, those folks who are under the age of 41, 40. There's a huge cohort and they are looking for homes either to get into their first home or maybe move up. And baby boomers, who are the millennials' parents, I'm caught in the middle, are not yet ready to sell their houses. So we have a decreased supply of homes and still increased demand. So as we move into the recession, this is one of the most expected recessions on history. We may see some I think the housing market will fare. So if you're looking for your first house, keep looking because you'll find something. Anyway, we love helping people. Please reach out to us, and we can schedule an appointment to go over your particular scenarios. Have a great day. Bye.